17 years married, 3 kids, perfect life. Then I found the messages, 6 months of lies. She planned Friday dinner with her boyfriend. I reserved the next table and brought his wife as my date. What happened next went viral. My name is Owen Bradshaw. I'm 44 years old, and until 3 weeks ago, I thought I had a solid marriage. I'm a managing partner at Hendrick & Associates, a mid-sized law firm in downtown Seattle. The hours are brutal, the case is demanding, but the work pays well enough to afford our 4-bedroom house in Maple Valley and private school tuition for our 3 kids. My wife, Lauren, is the HR director at Cascade Medical Systems. Smart woman, organized, always knew how to handle people. Or so I thought. We met in college, University of Washington, both of us ambitious and hungry for success. She was studying human resources management while I was grinding through pre-law. We married young, maybe too young, but it worked. Or at least I believed it did. Harper came along when Lauren was 23, then Dylan 3 years later, and finally little Zoe. 3 kids, 3 different personalities, all needing attention neither Lauren nor I had enough time to give. That's where the cracks started forming, I suppose. Not that I saw them. I was too busy reviewing contracts and depositions, building my reputation as the guy who never lost a corporate litigation case. Lauren threw herself into her career too, climbing from HR coordinator to director in less than a decade. We were a power couple, people said. The kind of partnership that looked perfect from the outside. The trouble with looking perfect is that you stop checking to see if anything's rotting underneath. It was a Thursday night when everything changed. I just closed a massive case. 3 months of 18-hour days that finally paid off when the jury came back in our favor. My client walked away with a 7-figure settlement, and I walked away with a partnership bonus that would cover Harper's first year at whatever college she chose. I was exhausted but satisfied, ready to collapse in a bed and maybe take a long weekend to reconnect with my family. I got home around 11. The house was dark except for the kitchen light. Lauren's car sat in the driveway, which surprised me. She'd texted earlier saying she was meeting her friend Emma for drinks after work. I figured she'd taken an Uber home. Inside, I found a covered plate of pasta on the counter with a sticky note. Saved you dinner. Long day. In bed. L. I heated the food and sat at the counter, scrolling through emails on my phone while I ate. That's when I noticed Lauren's iPad sitting on the kitchen table, screen still glowing. She must have been looking at something before heading upstairs. The screensaver hadn't kicked in yet. I wouldn't normally look. I'm not the jealous type. Never have been. Trust was something Lauren and I built our marriage on. Or so I kept telling myself. But something made me glance over. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the universe finally forcing me to pay attention. The messaging app was open. Not regular texts, but one of those encrypted chat programs people use when they don't want things traced. The name at the top read C. Just a letter. Nothing suspicious about that, right? Except the last message made my blood run cold. Can't wait for Friday. Same place, 8 p.m. I've been thinking about you all day. Below that, Lauren's response, sent just 20 minutes ago. Me too. I'll tell Owen I have a late HR meeting. He never questions those anymore. I stared at that iPad screen for what felt like an hour, but was probably only 2 minutes. My pasta sat forgotten, growing cold on the plate beside me. The messages kept scrolling. Weeks of conversations, maybe months. I didn't read them all. Didn't need to. The pattern was clear enough. See, it was Caleb. Had to be. Lauren had started going to some premium gym 6 months ago, coming home talking about her new trainer and how he was helping her feel strong again. Caleb Foster, owner of Apex Athletic Club downtown. She'd shown me his Instagram once. Some chiseled guy in his early 40s with a kind of smile that probably made women's knees weak. I'd encouraged it. Told her it was great she was taking time for herself. What an idiot I'd been. My first instinct was to storm upstairs, wake her up, and demand answers. Throw the iPad at her, watch her scramble for explanations. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the lawyer in me, the part that knows you never confront someone until you have all the evidence lined up. Or maybe it was something deeper, a cold understanding that this required strategy, not emotion. I took photos of the screen, every message I could find. Then I carefully placed the iPad back exactly where it had been, screen still glowing, and finished my pasta like nothing had happened. Each bite tasted like cardboard, but I chewed methodically, forcing myself to maintain the routine. When I went upstairs, Lauren was asleep, or pretending to be. The bedside lamp cast soft light across her face. 17 years I'd looked at that face. 17 years of believing I knew the person behind it. I changed into my pajamas in the dark, slipped under the covers, and lay there staring at the ceiling. My mind raced through possibilities, scenarios, legal implications, community property state, 3 minor children, her income versus mine, assets to divide, custody arrangements. I was already building the case, even though part of me hoped I was wrong. Friday was 1 day away. Same place, 8 p.m. I needed to know where same place was. The next morning, I woke before my alarm. Lauren was already in the shower, her phone charging on the nightstand. I picked it up. Her passcode was Harper's birthday, hadn't changed in years, and opened the encrypted chat app. More messages from overnight. Caleb telling her he couldn't sleep thinking about her. Lauren responding that she'd dreamed about him. The kind of intimate conversation that should have been happening between us, but hadn't in years. I scrolled further back. Found the restaurant name, Altitude, a high-end steakhouse on the 23rd floor of the Columbia Tower. Window seats with a view of Elliott Bay. Reservation under Foster, 8 p.m. I memorized everything, then placed her phone back exactly where it had been. Lauren emerged from the bathroom wrapped in a towel, hair dripping. She smiled when she saw me awake. Morning. Didn't hear you come in last night. How'd the case go? Her voice was warm, casual, like nothing in the world was wrong. Like she hadn't been texting another man about their secret Friday date while I slept beside her. 1, I said, matching her tone. Jury came back in 2 hours. That's amazing. She crossed the bed, kissed my forehead. I smelled her shampoo, the same brand she'd used for years. I'm so proud of you. We should celebrate. Maybe this weekend, I replied. I've got a lot of follow-up work to handle first. She nodded, already moving toward the closet to pick out her outfit for the day. I have that late HR meeting Friday night. Won't be home until after 9, probably. There it was. The lie, delivered smoothly, practiced. How many times had she done this? No problem, I said, my voice steady. I'll order pizza for the kids. Lauren smiled at me through the mirror as she held up 2 blouses, deciding between them. You're the best, you know that. I smiled back, just trying to be a good husband. If she caught the edge in my tone, she didn't show it. She chose the blue blouse, the one that brought out her eyes, and continued getting ready for another day of pretending our marriage was fine. I watched her go through a routine, this woman I'd shared my life with, and felt absolutely nothing except cold determination. Friday morning started like any other. Lauren kissed me goodbye at 7:30, coffee thermos in hand, telling me she'd be late tonight because of that HR meeting. I watched her back out of the driveway, her BMW disappearing down the tree-lined street, and felt nothing but cold calculation. I'd spent the previous day doing what I do best, building an airtight case. Not in court this time, but against my own wife. First, I call my brother, not for emotional support, but because Jake worked in digital forensics for a cybersecurity firm. If anyone could help me document everything without tipping my hand, it was him. Need a favor? I told him over lunch at a quiet diner across town. I slid my phone across the table, showing him screenshots of Lauren's messages. Jake's face hardened as he scrolled. Owen, I'm sorry, man. How long has this been going on? At least 6 months, maybe longer. I need to know everything. Every message, every call, every location she's been to. Can you do that without her knowing? He nodded slowly. I can clone her phone data remotely if you can give me access to her iCloud for just 5 minutes. Everything backs up there. Messages, photos, location history. She'll never know. Done. She leaves her laptop at home most mornings. Jake pulled out a small USB drive. Install this software. It'll run in the background. Sync everything to a secure server I control. Takes about 3 minutes. That afternoon, while Lauren was at work and the kids at school, I followed Jake's instructions. The software installed silently, began its work. Within an hour, Jake texted me. Got it all. This is worse than you thought. Call me tonight. But I couldn't focus on that yet. I had another piece to put in place. I'd done my research on Caleb Foster. 30 minutes of Googling told me everything I needed. Owner of Apex Athletic Club, married to Melissa Foster for 12 years. She ran Foster Contemporary, an art gallery in Pioneer Square that featured up-and-coming Pacific Northwest artists. The gallery's website listed her email. I drafted a message, deleted it, Drafted another. How do you tell a complete stranger that her husband is sleeping with your wife? Finally, I kept it simple. Ms. Foster, my name is Owen Bradshaw. I'm an attorney here in Seattle, and I need to discuss a sensitive matter involving your husband and my wife. I believe we have mutual interests that require a private conversation. Would you be available to meet tomorrow afternoon? I can come to your gallery. I sent it before I could second-guess myself. Her response came within an hour. Mr. Bradshaw, I'll be at the gallery until 5 p.m. tomorrow. Come by at 4. I have a feeling I know what this is about. That last line told me everything. She already suspected. Maybe she found messages too. Maybe Caleb had done this before. Whatever the case, I wasn't alone in this. Friday evening arrived. I made spaghetti for the kids. Harper helped while Dylan set the table, and Zoe colored at the counter. Normal family dinner. Except one parent was missing, supposedly at a meeting, but actually preparing for a romantic dinner with someone else's husband. Where's Mom again? Harper asked, draining the pasta. HR meeting. Should be home by 9:30 or 10. Harper gave me a look I couldn't quite read. At 17, she noticed more than I gave her credit for. She's been having a lot of late meetings lately. I met her eyes. Yeah, she has. Something passed between us in that moment. Understanding, maybe, or suspicion. Either way, Harper didn't push further. At 7:45, I checked the tracking app I'd installed on my own phone that morning. Completely legal, since I own Lauren's phone line through her family plan. The little dot showed her at the Columbia Tower. Not at the office. Not at any meeting room. At Altitude, the restaurant on the 23rd floor. I smiled. Let her enjoy her evening. She had no idea what was coming. Saturday afternoon, I stood outside Foster Contemporary at 3:55, studying the gallery through the large windows. Modern art pieces hung on white walls. Abstract paintings, metal sculptures, photography that probably meant something to people who understood such things. A few customers browsed inside. Melissa Foster stood behind a minimalist desk near the back, talking with an elderly couple. Even from outside, I could see why Caleb had married her. Tall, elegant, with dark hair pulled into a sleek bun. She wore black trousers and a silk blouse. Looked every bit the successful gallery owner. I pushed through the door. A soft chime announced my arrival. Melissa glanced up, and our eyes met. She knew immediately who I was. The couple she'd been helping made their exit, promising to think about a particular sculpture. Once they were gone, she approached me with measured steps. Mr. Bradshaw? Owen, please. I extended my hand. She shook it firmly, her grip strong. Melissa, come to my office in the back. I followed her past the displayed artwork to a small office with a glass desk and 2 modern chairs. She closed the door, gestured for me to sit, then took the chair across from me. You were right, she said before I could speak. I know what this is about. Lauren Bradshaw, HR Director at Cascade Medical. Your wife. I blinked, surprised. You knew. I suspected. Found hotel charges on our joint credit card 3 months ago. Caleb said they were for client meetings. Then I found text messages. Nothing explicit, but enough. Her voice was controlled, professional, but I caught the edge of pain underneath. I hired a private investigator last month. He confirmed everything. Your wife and my husband have been meeting every Friday for the past 6 months. I pulled out my phone, showed her the screenshots I'd taken. Same story on my end. Just found out 3 days ago. Melissa studied the messages, her jaw tightening. They think they're so clever. Secret apps, coded language. But they're just cliches. The cheating spouse playbook, word for word. Last night was supposed to be their dinner at Altitude. I said, I know. My investigator photographed them there. Window table, champagne, the works. She pulled out her own phone, swiped through photos. There they were. Lauren in a red dress I'd never seen before, Caleb in an expensive suit, both laughing like teenagers in love. My stomach turned, but I kept my voice steady. I want to propose something. Not revenge, exactly, but justice. Melissa leaned back, studying me with sharp eyes. I'm listening. They have another dinner planned. Next Friday, same restaurant. I want to be at the table next to theirs. And I want you there with me. A slow smile spread across her face. You want to confront them publicly. Not immediately. First, I want them to see us together. Let them wonder, panic, scramble. Then, when the moment's right, we present everything. Messages, photos, timeline. All of it. in front of witnesses. You're a lawyer, she observed. This is strategic. It's necessary. They've made fools of us in private for months. Turnabout feels appropriate. Melissa was quiet for a moment, then nodded. I'm in. But I want something in return. Name it. Caleb's been hiding money. The gym makes good profit, but I've seen discrepancies in our accounts. I think he's been skimming, preparing to leave me. I want to help documenting that. Legal help. Consider it done. I'll have my firm's financial investigator look into it. Discreetly, she extended her hand again. Then we have a deal. Owen, let's give them a Friday night they'll never forget. I shook her hand, feeling the first real sense of purpose I'd had since discovering the affair. This wasn't about anger or hurt feelings. This was about control, about taking back the narrative of my own life. One week, I said, let's make it count. The week crawled by like a prison sentence. Every morning, Lauren kissed me goodbye with that same practice smile. Every evening, she came home and played the devoted wife and mother. We made dinner together, helped the kids with homework, watched TV side by side on the couch. The perfect suburban family. Except I knew the truth now, and I was counting down the hours until Friday. Wednesday afternoon, I met with Jake at his office downtown. He'd compiled everything from Lauren's phone, a digital record of her betrayal, organized and time-stamped like evidence for a trial. 6 months of messages, Jake said, sliding a USB drive across his desk. 247 exchanges with Caleb Foster. Hotel reservations at the Fairmont, the Edgewater, and that boutique place in Bellingham. Charges on her personal credit card for lingerie, perfume, even a weekend trip to Victoria, she told you was a work conference. I felt my jaw tighten. Victoria. Last month. 3 days. She told you it was an HR conference, right? Yeah. I even watched the kids solo that weekend. I remembered Harper asking why Mom couldn't video chat if she was just at a conference. I made excuses for Lauren, told our daughter she was probably busy with evening sessions. There was no conference, Jake said quietly. Hotel records show Caleb Foster checked into the same hotel, same dates. Adjoining rooms that probably went unused. I stare at the USB drive. This is enough for a divorce attorney to have a field day. Owen, this is enough for 10 divorce attorneys. Jake leaned back in his chair. What are you going to do? Friday night, Lauren and Caleb have another dinner date at Altitude. I'm going to be at the table next to theirs with Melissa Foster. Jake's eyebrows shot up. You're serious? Completely. Lauren thinks she's having a romantic dinner with her boyfriend. Instead, she's going to discover that her boyfriend's wife and her own husband have been comparing notes. That's bold. But what about the kids? Harper's 17. She's going to hear about this. I thought about that constantly. Harper was old enough to understand what was happening, old enough to be hurt by it. But she also deserved the truth. Harper already suspects something, I said. She made a comment last week about Lauren's late meetings. Kids aren't stupid. No, they're not. Jake studied me carefully. You doing okay? Really? I'm functioning. That's all I can manage right now. Thursday night, I called the restaurant. I need to make a reservation for Friday at 8 o'clock. Table for 2. And I need to be seated next to a specific existing reservation. The hostess sounded confused. Sir, we don't typically arrange seating based on other parties. I'm aware, but this is a special circumstance. The reservation is under Foster. 8 o'clock, window table. I'm willing to pay extra to ensure my table is positioned adjacent to theirs. There was a long pause. May I ask why? Personal matter. I assure you it won't cause a disturbance. Just a conversation that needs to happen in a specific setting. Another pause. Let me speak with my manager. 5 minutes later, she returned. Sir, my manager says we can accommodate your request. $200 seating fee, in addition to your dinner bill. Done. The reservation is under Bradshaw. Owen Bradshaw. Confirmed for Friday at 8. We'll have you at table 17, adjacent to the Foster party at table 16. I hung up and texted Melissa. Everything's set. Friday, 7:45 p.m. I'll pick you up. Her response came immediately. I'll be ready. Wearing my best armor. Friday morning arrived with unusual sunshine for Seattle. Lauren was practically glowing at breakfast, humming while she made coffee. She'd already laid out her outfit for tonight. That red dress, the one from the photographs Melissa's investigator had taken last week. Special day. I asked casually, pouring cereal for Zoe. Lauren glanced over, smiled. Just feeling good. Looking forward to the weekend. Me too, I replied, meeting her eyes. I think this weekend's going to change everything. If she caught the double meaning, she didn't show it. She kissed Zoe's head, grabbed her purse, and headed for the door. See you tonight late. Don't wait up. Oh, I'll wait up, I said to her, retreating back. I definitely will. After she left, Harper came downstairs, already dressed for school. She looked at me with those perceptive 17-year-old eyes. Dad, is everything okay? I could have lied. Should have, probably. But I was tired of lies. Not yet, sweetheart. But will be. At 7:30, I stood in front of my closet, deciding what to wear to my wife's date with another man. I settled on a charcoal suit, white shirt, no tie. Professional, but not formal. The kind of outfit that said I was in control. Dylan knocked on my bedroom door. Dad, where are you going? Business dinner, I said, which wasn't entirely a lie. This was business, the business of ending my marriage with dignity. On a Friday night, sometimes the important meetings happen at inconvenient times. I drove to Melissa's gallery, arriving at 7:45 exactly. She was waiting outside, stunning in a black dress that made a statement. Her dark hair fell loose around her shoulders, and she wore heels that brought her almost to my height. Ready? I asked as she slid into the passenger seat. More than ready. Let's do this. We arrived at the Columbia Tower at 8:05, deliberately late. Let Lauren and Caleb get comfortable first. Let them think they had the whole evening ahead of them. The elevator ride to the 23rd floor felt eternal. Melissa stood beside me, calm and collected, while my heart hammered against my ribs. This was really happening. The hostess recognized my name immediately. Mr. Bradshaw, your table is ready. Right this way. She led us through the restaurant, past the bar, toward the window tables with their spectacular views of Elliott Bay. And there they were, Lauren and Caleb at table 16, heads close together, laughing at something. Lauren's hand rested on Caleb's arm. Intimate, comfortable, like they'd been doing this forever. The hostess guided us to table 17, literally 3 feet away. Lauren saw me first. Her eyes went wide, her face draining of color so fast I thought she might faint. Her hand jerked away from Caleb's arm like she'd been burned. Caleb turned to see what had startled her, and his expression matched Lauren's, pure shock. Then he saw Melissa beside me. His shock morphed into something else. Fear, maybe. Or the realization that his carefully constructed lie was collapsing in real time. Owen, Lauren's voice came out as a strangled whisper. What are you doing here? I pulled out Melissa's chair, waited for her to sit, then took my own seat. Calm, controlled, every movement deliberate. Having dinner, I said pleasantly. Same as you. What a coincidence running into you here. I thought you had an HR meeting tonight. Lauren's mouth opened and closed. No words came out. Melissa leaned forward slightly, her voice cool. Hello, Caleb. Surprised to see me? Melissa, I can explain, Caleb started. Oh, I'm sure you can, Melissa interrupted smoothly. You're very good at explaining. Very creative, actually. Though I have to say, working late with clients is a bit cliché, don't you think? Other diners were starting to notice. A couple at a nearby table had stopped eating, watching our little drama unfold. Lauren found her voice. Owen, this isn't what it looks like. I laughed. Actually laughed. Really? Because it looks like you're having a romantic dinner with Caleb Foster, owner of Apex Athletic Club, who happens to be married to Melissa here. You told me you had an HR meeting. But unless HR meetings now involve champagne and holding hands over candlelight, I think you might be confused about what qualifies as work. How did you? Lauren began, then stopped. The calculation in her eyes was almost visible. She was trying to figure out how much I knew, how much I could prove. How did I know? I pulled out my phone, set it on the table between us. Because you left your iPad unlocked last week. Because I've been tracking every message, every lie, every hotel reservation for the past 10 days. And because Melissa and I have been comparing notes. Caleb's face had gone from shock to angry. You had no right. I had every right, I said, my voice hardening. She's my wife. You're having an affair with my wife. I have all the rights in the world to know the truth. The server approached our table, clearly sensing the tension, but professionally obligated to do her job. Good evening. Can I start you with drinks? Actually, Melissa said, her voice cutting through the awkwardness. I think we're ready to order. We won't be here long. The server nodded quickly and retreated. Lauren's eyes were filling with tears. Owen, please. Can we talk about this privately? Privately? I leaned back in my chair. Like you and Caleb have been talking privately for 6 months? No, Lauren. We're done with private. This conversation happens here, now, with witnesses. The server returned with water glasses, her hands trembling slightly as she set them down. The tension at our tables was thick enough to cut with a knife. Other diners had stopped pretending not to watch. This was better than any Friday night entertainment. Lauren's tears were flowing freely now, mascara streaking down her cheeks. Owen, please. Can we go somewhere private and talk about this like adults? Like adults. I kept my voice level controlled. Adults don't lie to their spouses for 6 months. Adults don't sneak around behind their partner's back. You want to talk like adults? Fine. Let's start with the truth. I pulled out the folder I'd been keeping in my jacket. Inside were printed screenshots, hotel receipts, credit card statements, everything Jake had compiled for me. February 14th, I said, sliding the first receipt across the table. It landed in the middle of the white tablecloth, damning in its clarity. Valentine's Day. You told me you had to work late on that regional compliance review. Instead, you checked into the Fairmont Olympic with Caleb. Room 847. Charge dinner and champagne to your personal credit card. Lauren stared at the receipt like it was a snake. How did you? March 21st through 23rd. That HR conference in Victoria you absolutely couldn't miss. Except there was no conference. I slid another set of papers across. Hotel records show Caleb Foster checked into the same hotel, adjoining rooms. You spent 3 days with him while I handled 3 kids solo. Melissa leaned forward, adding her own documentation to the pile. And let's talk about the money, shall we? $47,000 transferred from your gym's business account to a personal account in the Cayman Islands over the past 8 months. Were you planning to run away together, Caleb? Or were you just stealing from your business? Caleb's confident demeanor shattered. That's confidential financial information. You can't. I can when my forensic accountant finds evidence of fraud, Melissa said coldly. I've already forwarded everything to the IRS and the State Attorney General's office. They're very interested in your creative bookkeeping. Lauren turned to Caleb, her voice rising. You told me you were investing in expanding the gym. You said that money was for new equipment. So he lied to you too. I observed. How does that feel, Lauren? Being on the receiving end of deception. A man at the next table actually applauded. His wife shushed him, but she was smiling. Caleb stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. I don't have to sit here and listen to this. Sit down, Melissa said, her voice cutting like a blade. Or I'll call security and have them escort you out. Your choice. Caleb sat. The fight had drained out of him completely. I turned back to Lauren, pulling out my phone. But my favorite piece of evidence is this. Your messages to Caleb from 2 days ago. I read aloud from the screen. Owen's so focused on work, he barely notices I exist anymore. He's like a robot, predictable, boring, always doing the right thing. I need someone who makes me feel alive. Lauren's face went crimson. That was private. Nothing's private when you're cheating on your spouse, I replied. You want to know what's funny? While you were complaining about how boring and predictable I am, I was working 80-hour weeks to pay for our house, our kids' private schools, your car. Everything you enjoy, I provided. And this is how you repay me. I never asked you to work that much, she said weakly. No, you just enjoyed spending the money I earned. I leaned back, feeling oddly calm. The anger had burned out, leaving only cold clarity. Here's what happens next. Monday morning, my attorney files for divorce. You get 30 days to move out of the house. I'm keeping primary custody of Harper, Dylan, and Zoe. You can't take my children. I'm not taking them. You gave them up when you chose to destroy our family. I gestured to the pile of evidence. Any judge who sees this will understand why the kids need stability, not a mother who's been lying to them for months. Melissa stood, gathering her things. I think we're done here. Owen, thank you for tonight. It was illuminating. I stood as well, leaving a $100 bill on the table. That should cover our water. Lauren, I'll see you at home. Eventually. Take your time. As Melissa and I walked away, I heard Lauren sob behind us, raw and broken. Caleb was trying to calm her down, his voice low and urgent. Other diners watched us leave with a mixture of shock and fascination. In the elevator, Melissa turned to me. How do you feel? Like I just performed surgery without anesthesia. I admitted. Necessary, but brutal. They deserved it. Maybe. But our kids didn't deserve any of this. The elevator doors opened to the parking garage, and we stepped out into the cool Seattle night. I didn't go home right away. After dropping Melissa at her gallery, I drove aimlessly through Seattle, watching the city lights blur past. My phone buzzed constantly. Text from Lauren that I didn't read, a voicemail I didn't listen to. Whatever she had to say could wait. At midnight, I finally pulled into our driveway. Lauren's car wasn't there yet. The house was dark except for Harper's bedroom light. Of course she was still awake. 17-year-olds never sleep. I went inside, found Harper sitting on the living room couch with her laptop, supposedly doing homework. But her eyes were red, and tissues littered the coffee table. She looked up when I entered. Someone posted a video from the restaurant online. It's everywhere. One of my friends texted me the link. I sat down beside her, suddenly exhausted. I'm sorry you found out this way. How long have you known about Mom and that guy? 2 weeks. Since I found messages on her iPad. Harper's voice broke. Why didn't you tell me? Because you're 17. You shouldn't have to deal with your parents' problems. I already knew something was wrong, she said quietly. Mom's been different for months. Always on her phone, always distracted. I thought maybe she was stressed at work. I didn't think. She couldn't finish the sentence. I put my arm around her shoulders. She leaned into me, and I felt her shaking with silent tears. Is it my fault? She whispered. Did I do something wrong? Harper, look at me. I waited until she met my eyes. None of this is your fault. Not yours, not Dylan's, not Zoe's. Adults make their own choices. Your mother made hers, and now we all have to deal with the consequences. Are you getting divorced? Yes. She nodded, wiping her eyes. Good. What she did was horrible. You deserve better. The front door opened. Lauren stood in the entryway, still in that red dress, her makeup completely destroyed by tears. She saw us on the couch and froze. Harper, sweetheart, she began. Don't, Harper said, standing up. Don't sweetheart me. You've been lying to all of us. It's complicated. It's not complicated. Harper's voice rose. You cheated on Dad. You lied about where you were going. You made him look stupid in front of the whole city. Harper, please. I don't want to hear it. Harper grabbed her laptop and headed for the stairs. I'm staying with Dad. Wherever he goes, I go. She disappeared upstairs, her bedroom door slamming behind her. Lauren turned to me, tears streaming again. Owen, we need to talk. Now you want to talk? Where was this desire for communication 6 months ago? I made a mistake. You made a choice. I corrected. Multiple choices. Hundreds of them, actually. Every text message, every hotel room, every lie. All choices. She sank into the chair across from me, looking smaller somehow. Defeated. I don't know what happened. Things between us got so distant. You were always working. I was always stressed. Kayla paid attention to me. Made me feel seen. So this is my fault. Because I worked too much to support our family. No, that's not what I meant. I felt invisible. You weren't invisible, Lauren. I saw you every day. I came home to you every night. I was here. I stood up, suddenly too tired for this conversation. But apparently, that wasn't enough. I wasn't exciting enough, attentive enough, whatever enough. So you found someone who was. Where do we go from here? My attorney's office, Monday at 9. We're doing this the civilized way, with lawyers and mediators. You'll get what's fair financially. But I'm keeping primary custody. You can't take my children. I can, and I will. Any judge will side with a parent who didn't commit adultery and lie to their family for 6 months. I headed for the stairs. I'm sleeping in the guest room tonight. Tomorrow, you start looking for an apartment. You have 30 days. Owen, please. Good night, Lauren. I went upstairs, checked on Dylan and Zoe, both asleep, blissfully unaware that their world was about to change. Then I stopped at Harper's door, knocked gently. Come in. She was sitting on her bed, still dressed, staring at her phone. Everybody knows, Dad. It's all over social media. Someone recorded video at the restaurant. My heart sank. I'm sorry. Don't be. Mom deserves it. She set down her phone, looking older than 17. Are we going to be okay? Yes. It won't be easy, but we'll get through it. Together. Together. You, me, Dylan, and Zoe. We're a family, no matter what. She hugged me then, fierce and tight. I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart. 3 months after that Friday night at Altitude, I sat in a conference room at my firm with my divorce attorney, Rebecca Schultz, reviewing the final settlement. Lauren sat across from us with her own lawyer, looking thinner and older than I remembered. The affair had taken its toll on both of us, but she'd gotten the worst of it. The video from the restaurant had gone viral. 8 million views on TikTok, picked up by local news stations, even featured on a national morning show about infidelity. Lauren had become Seattle's most famous cheater. She lost her job at Cascade Medical 2 weeks after the confrontation, when HR decided her presence was detrimental to company morale. Caleb's situation was even worse. The IRS investigation had uncovered $73,000 in unreported income and tax evasion. He'd pleaded guilty to avoid prison time, but he'd lost Apex Athletic Club in the settlement. Melissa had taken everything: the gym, their house, his retirement accounts. Last I heard, he was working as a personal trainer at a chain gym in Tacoma, living in a studio apartment. Mr. Bradshaw, Rebecca said, pulling me back to the present. The terms are favorable. Lauren agrees to joint custody, with you having primary physical custody. She gets visitation every other weekend and Wednesday evenings. Lauren's voice was barely above a whisper. I want more time with my kids. Then you shouldn't have cheated on their father, Rebecca said flatly. The judge reviewed the evidence. You're lucky to get any custody at all. The house, I asked, stays with you. Lauren receives 38% of marital assets, which comes to approximately $215,000. She waives any claim to your partnership shares in the firm. Lauren signed the papers with shaking hands. When it was done, her lawyer gathered the documents and left quickly. Lauren remained seated, staring at the table. Can we talk? She asked quietly. Just for a minute. Rebecca looked at me. I nodded, and she stepped outside, closing the door behind her. I'm sorry, Lauren said. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I need you to know I'm sorry. I appreciate that, but sorry doesn't undo 6 months of lying. I know. She wiped her eyes. Harper won't talk to me. She hangs up when I call. Dylan's barely civil. Even Zoe seems angry. You broke their trust. That takes time to rebuild. Will they ever forgive me? I don't know. That's between you and them. I stood, ready to leave. But I won't poison them against you, if that's what you're worried about. They'll form their own opinions. Thank you for that, at least. At the door, I paused. Lauren, I hope you find what you were looking for. Whatever it was that made you blow up our family. I hope it was worth it. I left her sitting there alone. Outside, Harper waited in my car. She'd insisted on coming. Said she wanted to see it finalized. At 17, she was mature enough to understand what divorce meant. Is it done? She asked as I slid into the driver's seat. It's done. Good. She stared out the window. Mom texted me again, asking if we could have lunch this weekend. Do you want to? Not really, but maybe I should. She's still my mom, even if she's a terrible person. She's not terrible. She made terrible choices. There's a difference. Harper looked at me with those wise beyond her years eyes. You're too nice, Dad. After what she did, I'd never forgive her. You might surprise yourself. Forgiveness isn't for her benefit. It's for yours. Holding on to anger only hurts you. We drove home in comfortable silence. Dylan and Zoe were there when we arrived, both doing homework at the kitchen table. Normal Friday afternoon, except Lauren wasn't there to make dinner. That was my job now. Pizza or Chinese? I asked. Pizza. Zoe shouted. Dylan just nodded. While we waited for delivery, I watched my 3 kids, Harper helping Zoe with math, Dylan on his laptop probably gaming instead of doing homework. Our family looked different now, smaller, but we were still a family. My phone buzzed. Text from Melissa Foster. Divorce finalized today. Starting fresh. Thank you for everything. I typed back. Same here. Good luck with the new gallery location. She'd moved forward faster than I had. Already opened a second gallery space. Was dating someone new. An architect she'd met at an art show. I was happy for her. At least one of us was finding our footing. 9 months later, I stood in the backyard watching Dylan and Zoe chase each other around the lawn while Harper sat on the porch steps, texting friends. Spring had finally arrived in Seattle, bringing with it sunshine and warmth that felt symbolic somehow. Life had settled into a new rhythm. The kids had adjusted better than I'd expected. Dylan still had anger issues, acting out at school, getting into fights, but his therapist said it was normal for kids processing divorce. Zoe cried sometimes at night, missing the way things used to be. Harper had become my co-parent, helping with dinners and homework, growing up faster than I would have liked. Lauren saw them every other weekend. The visits were awkward at first, but gradually they'd found a new normal. She'd moved to Tacoma, taken a job as an HR consultant, making half what she used to earn. Her relationship with Caleb had imploded 3 weeks after the restaurant confrontation. Turns out their romance couldn't survive reality. She'd apologized to the kids multiple times. Harper had accepted it grudgingly. Dylan still wouldn't talk to her about it. Zoe had forgiven her almost immediately, the way 9-year-olds do. My phone rang. Unknown number. Owen Bradshaw. I answered. Mr. Bradshaw, this is Catherine Wu from the Washington State Bar Association. I'm calling about the character witness statement you provided for Melissa Foster's civil suit against Caleb Foster. Yes, I remember. Is there a problem? No problem at all. The suit was settled this morning. Mrs. Foster received full restitution plus damages. I wanted to thank you for your testimony. Glad I could help. After hanging up, I felt a sense of closure. Melissa had gotten her justice. Caleb had paid for his fraud. The legal system had actually worked for once. Harper came over, flopped down on the grass beside me. Dad, can I ask you something? Always. Do you think you'll ever date again? Like find someone new? I considered the question. Maybe eventually. Not anytime soon. Good. We're not ready for a stepmom yet. Noted. She picked at the grass. I saw Mom yesterday. She seems sad. I imagine she is. Do you still love her? I thought about that carefully. I love the person I thought she was. The person she actually turned out to be? No. That person hurt all of us too badly. That makes sense. Harper leaned her head on my shoulder. I'm glad we stayed with you. Me too, sweetheart. Dylan came running over, out of breath. Dad, can we go to the batting cages tomorrow? Coach says I need to work on my swing. Sure. 9 o'clock. Perfect. He ran off again, full of 10-year-old energy. I watched him go, thinking about how resilient kids were. They'd been through hell, but they were bouncing back. My phone buzzed again. Text from Jake. Beer tonight? Bring the crew. I looked at my 3 kids, at the home we'd built from the ruins of betrayal. We'd survived. More than that, we were thriving. Who wants to go see Uncle Jake tonight? I called out. 3 enthusiastic responses. Zoe came running, Dylan right behind her. Harper stood, brushing grass from her jeans. As we headed inside to get ready, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Not happiness exactly, but contentment. Peace. The future stretched ahead, uncertain, but full of possibility. I had my kids, my career, my integrity intact. Lauren had made her choices. I'd made mine. And I'd chosen to be the kind of man my children could respect. The kind of father who showed them that dignity and honesty mattered more than revenge or bitterness. That evening, as we sat around Jake's backyard with burgers and laughter, Dylan asked out of nowhere, Dad, are you happy? I looked at my brother and my 3 kids, at the life we'd built together from broken pieces. Yeah, buddy, I am. And I meant it.